Hi, my name is Charles Blevins, and thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel. Today I have my wife joining me, and her name,
My name is Nidia Blevins.
and we're going to talk about the differences of opinion about spirituality. I have my viewpoints, and she has her viewpoints. Sometimes they contradict, sometimes they meet together. So, Nidia, explain a little bit about your viewpoints.
Well, regarding spirituality, I just think it's a personal growth. And it depends on where you're at. And I think we all are at different levels in life. And there is no right or wrong. And my main thing is that regarding spirituality doesn't necessarily mean being religious, although you can, you know, be in a church going atmosphere or whatever, you know. Um, but spiritual growth, I think it's a personal thing that you have to experience for yourself.
See, and I think this is where we join together. That it's about each one of us, and I concur with her on that level. Um, Now, so from that standpoint, I'm not going to argue it at all because there is different levels of growth for everyone. So, I guess going through my spiritual viewpoints, I know it's caused a lot of hardship on you at times. And how would you? I mean, how do you think that you've handled it watching me go through these in and out modes of being connected back to reality?
Yeah, because it's a from what I understand, or from what Charlie Charles goes through in his experiences, it is hard because he's in tune with something that I'm not familiar with. I know what I've been born to, which is here. And sometimes it's difficult because um, what they tell him to do, what they ask him to do, may not fit our program here right now in this reality world, and it makes it really difficult sometimes. Uh, uh, but um, I know a lot of times I have to stand back and allow him to do what he needs to do. Um, but there has been a lot of discussions and discussions about what he should do, what he shouldn't do, and I know at the end of the day, everybody has to follow their heart at the end of the day. But you know, in a marriage, uh, we you also have to work together, and sometimes where he's going and where I'm going, we're sometimes uh, not meeting at the same place. But um, I know he has to be him, and just like everybody else has to be themselves. But yeah, it does cause that sometimes, not all the time, but at sometimes it does cause some conflict.
Yeah. And then what's funny is some of the things that we've had debates over, uh, which I can't go into detail because of ongoing progress with certain things, but uh, we can take the 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 murder that I was working on and the debates that we had over that, where reality, you wanted a police to handle it, but they were telling me something else that they wanted me to do, uh, which would have came out in a better resolution than going based off of a material world or what we're used to doing.
Right, because here we have a certain order, you know, and over there's a certain order, or, how things go about too. And, you know, it's like anything else. If you go into somebody's property, I mean, that's, you're entering, uh, you know, um, somebody's property without their permission. It's called trespassing. So, we have these rules and regulations here, and we need to abide by them. we don't, we can find ourselves in trouble and possibly or somehow in danger, that we're putting ourselves. And I guess that's where sometimes I find conflict because they're telling them to do something, but I'm looking at things, you know, the way our society is, and I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to get arrested, and I don't want to, I guess, cause problems either for us or get killed in the process of doing something. And I know he assures me that they wouldn't put him in a situation where um, it would be, but it's hard for me to see that at times.
And I think that's where the conflict comes in, is because at the moment you're only getting a piece of something. They're not showing you the full picture, but it's only until after events are over, when you can reflect backwards, that you can start to see uh, how things could have been different, or why things are said a certain way at a certain time to be done. And that makes it very difficult, because when they're telling you to do something, yes, you don't get to see everything. You only see what they want you, what they're trying to make you see at that moment, but not all the repercussions at the end of the day.
And it is really, truly, they're putting you in a truly, trust and faith type scenarios, that, uh, I guess living here, doesn't sometimes, even though a lot of people, go to church and they always go, oh, your faith, and faith. But sometimes when we're put in those situations, sometimes we find ourselves um, being afraid of it.
And so, as you can tell, uh, there's been many debates, arguments, disputes over different issues at different times of how to handle it. And it causes frustration on both sides, because I'm looking at things from a spiritual standpoint that I'm being required to do. It's almost like I've made some type of agreement with the other side to do things, and and then at the same token, I've made certain agreements with Nidia to do certain things, as far as being with her, and at times they just contradict with each other, and it's been very rough for both of us, because it's trying to find that balance. Yet there's really no balance in this, because of every when they ask you to do things, it's never the same thing twice. One day it might be trying to find someone missing, the next day it might be giving someone a hug that is a complete stranger, but you just don't know until you're in that situation, and they're asking you to do something, and that makes it very difficult. It's not like a 9 to 5 job type of situation where you just go, you do your thing, you come home, and everything stays consistent. It's very wacky, and it changes from moment to moment, and you can go days with everything being beautiful and peaceful, and then you know one day, out of the clear blue sky, it just gets wacky, and you're off to the races with trying to figure out exactly what they're asking you to do and completing it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's wacky. I think a lot of us, to tell you the truth, I think a lot of people are waking up, and I think, uh, you know, they're in touch. For some reason, somehow, and sometimes, for some people, it takes a tragic event. For others, it's an age limit that all of a sudden, some of them ask for it. From what I understand, they just ask to be enlightened or to, um, wake up. And it happens for them. So it's I don't think it's wacky, but sometimes what happens, um, when like when he's in touch with over there, it does, because there's no time. um, uh, time is something that we've invented here, and we do have a certain, like, when we wake up, when we go to sleep, when we go to work, when and over there it doesn't even matter, when it comes to time. So that does can throw people off, when it comes to things that you know um, especially me. I like to be organized. I like to have things set, and sometimes it's just those spur of the moment things.
So, what would you say to someone if they were in a relationship with someone who's discovering their psychic ability and spirituality through this process to make their life easier to deal with someone?
I think everybody's different. Everybody's going to have different situations. I don't think you can really tell anybody. You can just share your experiences, because at the end of the day, I believe that's why we're here, is to experience things. But um, I think um, what I've seen this a lot, and not so much in marriages, because I think sometimes when you get in a relationship, I think you pretty much know that person, and you have the right to walk away if you can't handle it. But what I have seen is that children um, tend to be suppressed a little bit, and where I would say to anyone, whether you're in a relationship or raising a child that has this gift, is let them be who they need to be, and just, you don't have to say anything. All you have to do is just listen. That's it. You don't have to, um, if you don't believe in that, you don't have to shut them down, or uh, not listen. Because that's probably the worst thing. Because if they're trying to tell you something, um, just listen to what they have to say. You know, I think that's the best thing. Like, what I can say to, even in a relationship, is just to listen.
Yeah, I concur with that. From my standpoint, if if you have the ability, expect for you to be going in and out of reality constantly at different phases of your life, and you you can control it to a degree, but there's no real control over it. At the end of the day, you just have to figure it out how to make it work within your life. But it can affect your economics. It can affect your relationships with people. Um, I find myself, I don't keep a lot of friends or those type of relationships just because of I not because I need them, because I don't feel they're they're required for what I'm doing. It actually causes more of interference. It's not because I don't care about people. It's the exact opposite. Too much talk just starts to bother me after a while, and so I find the less people that I have around me, the more quieter things are, the more calmer I become. Um, so I just prefer to be kind of closed off to a degree, but still open at the same time throughout the day. Just the balance for me. But I realize that will cause havoc on a family, relationship wise, and because of because you're not really a stable individual, economic wise, it can cause issues. So I would say keep your means down to the minimum. Um, be aware of the lack of a relationship with someone. Set up some type of little things that you know the person likes, whether it's a hug or a kiss or a piece of candy or something, and make sure you give it to them as much as you can, because just to let them know that you still care, even though you're going through your wackiness. I think from that, it helps a whole lot there. Some, would you say?
Yeah, but I think even people, you've gone through your own experience, but I think other people, what they do, will go through their own experience, and it will be in touch with whatever that is in a
Right.
different way.
Correct.
So, you know,
I
I I think it just depends on the person, on how because that also depends, if they're in a relationship, if they're not in a relationship, if they have children, if they don't have children, and it just depends on the personality too, because they may be able to have certain strengths or weaknesses that you may not have.
Right. That's true too.
So
So, I mean, there's a. It's just very hard to pinpoint. All we can do is just say where each of us have come from, uh, going through different phases, and that's about the only advice that we can really give. Whether it fits or not is going to be up to that individual if it makes sense to them and what they're going through.
yeah, I think the main reason that we're here is just to share the information, because sometimes people think that they're by themselves or alone, and you're really never alone. There's always someone out there that will experience or have the same things that you may be going through, um, no matter what it is. That's what I believe. So, um, the only reason why we're doing this, is to share information, and to get feedback, and to see where everybody else, or maybe we can learn something, but maybe somebody else can learn something too. But I think being open and sharing information is so important right now, especially if we have the means and the tools. Because growing up, this wasn't so easy. So I'm sure some of the people, you know, that probably back in the days probably had disabilities. I'm sure they would have loved to share with people that, with like minds.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I mean, if you think about it, growing up, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, really, a male knew more about a female's body than a male's own body because of, it was too macho, and you would never hear about things and of that, of about the male's body and what the male goes through, but you could always hear about what the female went through, and it's only been in the last decade, or 10 years that, you know, males are starting to share information about what they go through uh, physically as their body breaks down in different stages. So, I mean, we shut ourselves off from certain things because of our ego, and it makes it hard for the next generation because of when they hit certain phases of life or spirituality, that information's been closed off because of it's not macho, or the ego gets in the way and we're thinking about ourselves, and we're afraid that someone's going to laugh at us because we talk about things. And at the end of the day, we hurt someone behind us who needs that information to get them further along. And I think that's what makes it very difficult because when I was younger, there was hardly any spiritual books out there that could even help me understand what I was going through or how to hone in on to things. And it's only been through my spiritual awareness that it actually has, that the other side has started retraining me over and over again to hone me in onto certain spiritual abilities and understanding how it works. And that's made it very difficult for me um, because that knowledge out there just doesn't exist to that detail level. And I think that's what bothers me is we all talk about experience, but we don't talk about what it involves sometimes going through that experience, and that makes it very rough.
And there is a lot more information nowadays, um, in books, and because I've been reading up. I mean, especially with the internet, I have read up. Even though I did it, I've always been curious about things in the past when I was younger. I can find a book about NDEs and things like that, but um, now there there is a lot more information. You can find information also over the internet, and so um, which makes it easier.
It does make it
And I
easier.
think with time, it will only get better, and it'll help us to be more spiritual enlightened, I think.
Yes, I concur with that. I think my biggest issue I have with a lot of spiritual people or psychic individuals is the lack of that knowledge, that detail exactly what they do step by step, and what works for them. It doesn't mean that it works the same for everyone, but at least if you try it out, it's kind of like a glove. You kind of see if it fits or not. But if not enough people are sharing that information, and then you don't know what glove fits for you, you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong, and so you don't know if it's helping you or not helping you, and being very vague about it, it makes it very hard for someone to figure out, you know, what they're doing, because it's not like hopping into the car. You just turn the key in the car and put it in drive and hit the gas and you go. It's kind of like it just takes time, and you have to be very aware, and you have to understand the small signs of the knocking at the door from the other side to hone in on it. But without that knowledge level being shared out there to that finite detail, it makes it very difficult. This We're talking about finite detail things. We're not talking about grand things that you can touch, like a car. It's big, it's huge. You can see it from a mile away. You can spot it and everything. You can hear it coming. And this is something very finite, and I think that makes it rough for people.
Yeah, and I think, some of us are more spiritual awakened than others. Some of us, like myself, probably have to work at it, or try different methods. Meditation is one of the big ones, and but then again, I'm not doing it or practicing it, so you know, that's the thing, is that you have to put the work into it if you do want to be like that way. And, but it takes an effort, just like anything else. If you want to be a good racer, well, you have to start running. I mean, you can't just say, oh well, I want to be this, and or I want to do that. Um, you know, or even if you try to eat healthy, well, we all say, oh, we want to lose weight, but then again, we're eating, just saying Twinkies and who knows what else you might be eating. Um, but you have to start, with something. If you want to be healthy, then you have to do it. And it's just, I think with spirituality, I think we all have that within ourselves, but we all have to make that effort also. And some of us, are lucky in that sense that they're in tune, and they may not have to put so much of an effort into it. Um,
Yeah, I think that we're all spiritually connected, and but I have but from my interpretation is some of us just have a contract or agreement with the other side that makes us in tuned, and it's almost like we can't get away from it. It's part of who we are, or our purpose of being here. I would say it's more of our primary purpose, and it's to help control things, to keep things in balance.
yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, in the Olympics, I mean, how many people go out and actually win the gold medals? I
Right.
mean, there's just a few that really are the top of the notch. But we can all do it.
Right.
And we might not get to that level, some level.
I agree with that. Well, I hope this has helped you a little bit. We wanted to, I asked my wife to come on to share just a little bit of her opinion inside. So this way you just didn't see my opinion to the situation and what happens. And to give you a little bit different taste of a husband and wife's viewpoints and what we struggle with going through this. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. Take care.